Well, that was fun now, wasn't it? The Montreal Canadiens will select 5th overall for a second year in a row at this year's 2024 NHL entry draft. They will also select 24th overall, or will they? Unless they decide to trade that pick. As we found out, the Canadiens also solidified their second first-round pick in the 24th position. We'll see what Kent Hughes does before, after, during, most likely before or during the draft. All right, so a lot of reactions pouring in last night from the Habs getting and staying at 5th overall for a second year in a row. And the consensus is right now, right out of Kent Hughes' mouth, that all things being equal, the plan right now is for the Canadiens to select a forward. Thank you, Jesus. I say that, and if Silyev is available at 5, I mean, what do? Do you not take the next Zdeno Chara? I don't know. We don't expect that he'll actually be available at 5, but there's a lot to break down here. First, though, let's show you my quick reaction and Gary's from last night's live stream as the Habs get the 5th overall pick. Utah. We're in the top 5, buddy. Top 5. Let's go.
We don't want this to be us either.
I know, but I'm still happy overall.
Fingers crossed, big guy. Let's go.
Montreal. We got 5th. Second year in a row. Montreal 5th. There it is, folks.
There's so much possibility. So much possibility at 5.
Habs get 5th overall pick, second year in a row. 2 years in a row.
I'll take that every day.
It may not have seemed like it. Last year, I was definitely more disappointed that the Canadiens ended up with the 5th overall pick. We all wanted a chance at the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, and even this year with Macklin Celebrini, but I was definitely and am definitely content knowing the forwards, the players, let's just say players that are available. We're being told by our GM that we're likely to take a forward. So I can say it more this year, I think, because if the plan goes according to the way it should, and all things remain equal, like Kent Hughes said, the Canadiens' plan is to select a forward. So we'll get into who they may select in a moment. We have a month and a half at least to talk about who the Canadiens could take at 5, but we know that there's some good talent available at that 5th overall selection. Congratulations again to the San Jose Sharks for winning the draft lottery for the first time ever in their history. Let's give a shout out to them and Mike Greer. Congratulations to them. They do win the Macklin Celebrini sweepstakes. So hats off to them. Chicago didn't get first, so we were all kind of happy with that. They're going to pick second. But regardless, I mean, there wasn't really much change at all in this draft lottery. There wasn't many surprises. It was a bit anticlimactic, as some folks have said, and that's kind of true. But in the end, I think it seemed relatively fair where teams ended up. I feel that way about the Canadiens and even San Jose as well, depending on how you view the draft lottery, because it does encourage tanking. And Eric Engels even had an interesting tweet about that last night. So we could debate about the draft lottery system all we want. And I do hope eventually there's some change to it, because you don't want to encourage failure in order to build your franchise. But that's a whole other topic for another day. You guys know that one of the first websites that fans will go to, a lot of Montreal fans go to, especially because you can just see the results immediately, is hockeydb.com. And right now, who is trending number 1 other than Caden Lindstrom, who the big centerman, 6'3", 210 pounds he's listed at right now. He is a player that for the last several months, maybe even going back to last year, Canadiens fans have already been looking forward to the potential of being able to select Caden Lindstrom should he be available now at the 5th overall selection, which I don't expect it to be a great chance that he'll be available. But with this draft being very defense heavy on the front end, I mean, Macklin Celebrini is definitely going to go 1st overall. You'd like to think that Chicago is going to take Demidov at number 2. So what is Columbus or Anaheim going to do with picks 3 and 4, right? So that all depends on who they take, but the consensus right now seems to be that if Caden Lindstrom's available at 5, there's no question that the Canadiens should take him, except for the fact there is a question, because Caden Lindstrom does have injury history already in his young career. We've seen how Tage Ginla has really rised in the rankings, and apparently, according to some, the Canadiens have already met with Tage Ginla in person more than once. And we actually found out and we saw Kent Hughes attending the latest World Championships, where Tage Ginla had a very good tournament with Team Canada. His production was excellent. And I think that the consensus seems to be, and I said this last night on our live stream, that it seems to be between Caden Lindstrom Tage Ginla, and Cole Yzerman, and then insert maybe Berkeley Catton as the top 4 forwards that Canadiens fans would be happy with getting at 5th overall. Lindstrom is sitting at number 5. Okay. So Habs fans have really been high on Caden Lindstrom. So what do you think? It's between like Lindstrom, Ginla, and Yzerman, isn't it? Like, I think it's Lindstrom, Ginla, Yzerman. Like, who else is on board with me here? Does that not make the most sense? I don't know. If we're going to pick a forward, I don't know. Maybe they're going to take Zane Parekh, maybe they're going to take Sam Dickinson. I don't know. Those guys are
You know what?
defensemen.
To me, it's like this. I think that if it goes as Mackenzie said there, and like those 2 defensemen go earlier on,
A
I
lot
think
of people like
100% if
Berkeley Catton.
Lindstrom's there, they take it. I don't think they go. I don't think they galaxy brain it and try to get the 3rd best defenseman in this draft over a forward.
I didn't mention Berkeley Catton, but you can't not include this guy as somebody that if you're looking for a goal scorer, if you're looking for someone to put up production and be a scorer, period, that the Canadiens are going to draft at 5th overall, they don't want to miss on this one should they select a forward. And you can't not include Berkeley Catton in that with his outstanding season this year in the WHL. In 68 games this season, and it should be mentioned, by the way, that Berkeley Catton is also a centerman. So that just makes your decision maybe even a little bit more challenging, if you will. Right now, Bob McKenzie has Berkeley Catton listed 11th in the top 15 draft rankings at this point in the season. The season's not over yet, but Berkeley Catton listed, I mean, this guy, 54 goals, 62 assists, 116 points in 68 games played with the Spokane Chiefs in the WHL this season. Absolutely outstanding production. However, we do know that based on the kind of team that Martin St. Louis is looking to lead, and he has been extended as head coach of the Canadiens for at least the next 3 seasons total, we know that he's trying to develop as many complete players as possible with the Montreal Canadiens. So we know offensively, Berkeley Catton has beyond the ability to score. But when it comes down to being the best overall player available at forward, assuming that they take a forward this year, because Kent Hughes is pretty close to promising it, we know that these players that are available, that they're going to want to take the best one available out of that list I mentioned, maybe beyond it. But I think we get the idea of who they're going to take in that list. But the main point is here, you can't just look at production only as being your evaluation for who you're going to take in this draft, or any draft for that matter. So when it comes down to it, we're going to get into a lot of deep diving on these players and who the Canadiens are going to take at 5th overall. Is Kent Hughes going to move his 2nd first-round pick again this year? Now, it is an earlier pick at 24th overall, but there is some drop-off, of course, between, say, 10 to 15 to 24. So are the Canadiens going to keep that pick? They might, but I know that even Kent Hughes said himself that when it comes to his 5th overall pick, he's still going to likely be making calls and taking calls on that 5th overall pick. So this still isn't even a for sure thing if they're going to use this 5th overall pick. It's more likely than not they will, but there's going to be some phone calls made about it. Kent Hughes mentioned that there were phone calls made last year about the 5th overall pick before they made the eventual selection for David Reinbacher, but they're going to do their due diligence and make sure that they do the absolute best thing possible to serve this Montreal Canadiens rebuild with this 5th overall selection. We're all looking forward to the draft at the Sphere in Las Vegas. So we all can't wait at this point. So now I turn my attention to the Habsolutely podcast with Paul Killamere and John Filion here in Niagara Falls. In studio today. Stay tuned later today for that full episode to be posted. We're going to talk about all the players I just mentioned. We're going to talk about the draft and now the possibilities for the Canadiens at 5th overall and maybe 24th overall. What are they going to do with that? It's going to be a full-length podcast, returning to the studio after about 3-4 weeks, the last time I was in there. So tune into Habsolutely. It's such a fun podcast. The dynamic is great. It's a lot of fun with John and Paul in the studio in person. There's not a lot of in-person Montreal Canadiens podcasts out there. So we're trying to create something unique, see how far we can take it. So I appreciate you guys checking that out and staying on this channel as long as you have. Hit like and subscribe if you want to support the channel. It's so good to be back, you guys, and talking about some substance here with the Habs and seeing what they're going to do at this draft. We have a lot to look forward to. This rebuild is going to be accelerated this draft and this summer. We feel it. We know it. We believe it. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for everything, guys. Ciao for now.